Have you ever met someone who was really smart, like book smart, but somehow they struggled to connect with people? Maybe they couldn't handle stress, they overreacted to small things, or they just didn't know how to relate to others. On paper, they had everything: degrees, skills, intelligence. But in real life, they kept hitting walls. Now, on the other hand, think of someone you know who isn't necessarily the smartest in the room, but people love being around them. They can stay calm in tough situations, they inspire others, and they seem to understand what you're feeling without you even saying a word. Chances are, that person has mastered something far more powerful than IQ. They've mastered emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence, or EQ, is your ability to recognize, understand, and manage emotions, both your own and other people's. And here's the secret. In today's world, EQ often matters more than IQ. Yes, intelligence is important, but without emotional intelligence, your relationships suffer, your career stalls, and your happiness feels incomplete. This book is all about helping you build that emotional intelligence, step by step. Because when you understand yourself on a deeper level, you can manage your emotions better. And when you can manage your emotions, you naturally connect with people in a more genuine, powerful way. Over the next 15 chapters, we're going to dive deep into the 5 pillars of emotional intelligence. Self-awareness, knowing yourself inside and out. Self-regulation, staying calm and in control. Motivation, the fire that drives you from within. Empathy, truly understanding others. Social skills, building strong, lasting connections. But don't worry, this won't feel like a psychology lecture. Think of this as a personal journey. I'll share stories, practical tools, and exercises you can start using right away. Whether you want to improve your relationships, become a better leader, or simply feel more in control of your emotions, this audiobook will give you the roadmap. By the end, you'll see that emotional intelligence isn't just about controlling anger or being nice. It's about living smarter, connecting deeper, and creating a life where you feel balanced and understood. So, if you've ever asked yourself, why do I feel stuck emotionally? Or, why can't I connect better with people? You're in the right place. Together, we'll explore how to master your emotions, strengthen your relationships, and unlock the best version of yourself. Are you ready? Then let's begin the journey of emotional intelligence mastery. Chapter 1. The Foundation of Emotional Intelligence. Imagine this for a moment. You walk into a meeting at work. The smartest person in the room, maybe the one with the best degree, starts talking. But within 5 minutes, the atmosphere feels heavy. People stop listening, tension rises, and you can tell everyone is uncomfortable. Now, someone else speaks up. This person may not be the most technically brilliant, but they have something different. Their tone is calm, they acknowledge other people's feelings, and suddenly, everyone feels heard. The room relaxes. The discussion flows. What just happened? That second person wasn't necessarily more intelligent, at least not in the traditional sense. But they had emotional intelligence. And that's what made the difference. So what exactly is emotional intelligence? In simple terms, it's the ability to recognize, understand, and manage emotions, your own and those of others. Psychologists call it EQ, or emotional quotient. Unlike IQ, which measures your logical or academic ability, EQ is about your ability to handle real-life situations with awareness and connection. And here's something you need to know. Research consistently shows that emotional intelligence is often a bigger predictor of success in life than IQ. Think about it. Intelligence might get you the job, but emotional intelligence is what helps you keep it, thrive in it, and build relationships that matter. Now, let's break down the 5 core elements of emotional intelligence, the pillars that form its foundation. 1. Self-awareness. Self-awareness is the ability to recognize your own emotions in the moment. Think of it as holding up a mirror to your inner world. For example, let's say you're about to give a presentation and you suddenly feel nervous. A self-aware person doesn't ignore it or try to push it down. Instead, they pause and say, "I'm feeling nervous. That's normal. My body is responding to pressure." Just naming that emotion reduces its power. Self-awareness also means understanding how your emotions affect your behavior. If you're angry, Do you lash out? If you're stressed, do you shut down? The more you know your patterns, the more control you gain over them. Practical tip: try a quick exercise called Name It to Tame It. Whenever you feel an emotion rising, whether it's frustration, excitement, or sadness, pause and label it. Simply saying, "I feel frustrated right now," helps calm the brain and gives you space to choose your next step. 2. Self-regulation. The second pillar is self-regulation. This is your ability to manage your emotions so they don't control you. It's not about suppressing feelings. It's about choosing how you respond instead of reacting blindly. Picture this. You receive a harsh email from your boss. Your first instinct might be to fire back a sharp reply. But self-regulation means pausing, taking a breath, and waiting until you can respond with clarity rather than impulse. One powerful tool here is the pause, breathe, respond method. Before reacting to anything emotionally charged, give yourself 5 slow breaths. This short pause can transform an emotional reaction into a thoughtful response. Remember, emotions are powerful energy. When managed well, they can fuel creativity, drive, and connection. But unmanaged, they can destroy relationships and opportunities in seconds. 3. Motivation. Motivation in emotional intelligence isn't just about setting goals. It's about having an inner drive that keeps you moving, even when challenges arise. High EQ individuals are fueled not only by money or recognition but by a deeper sense of purpose. Let's use an example. 2 athletes train daily. One does it for the medal, the applause, the fame. The other trains because they love the process, the growth, the challenge. Guess who lasts longer when setbacks hit? The second one, because their motivation is internal. Developing this kind of motivation means aligning your goals with your values. Ask yourself, why do I really want this? What deeper meaning does this goal have for me? When you connect emotions to your goals, discipline becomes natural, not forced. 4. Empathy. Empathy is the ability to put yourself in someone else's shoes. It's more than just feeling sorry for someone. That's sympathy. Empathy is deeper. It's understanding their emotions, even if you don't agree with them. For example, imagine a friend is upset because they didn't get a promotion. You might think, well, it wasn't a big deal. But empathy means pausing and acknowledging their reality. I can see you're disappointed. That must feel discouraging. Notice how that simple recognition strengthens connection. Empathy is the glue of human relationships. Without it, conversations become cold transactions. With it, you build trust, loyalty, and understanding. Practical tip: practice active listening. That means listening without planning your reply. Instead, focus entirely on the other person's words, tone, and emotions. Reflect back what you hear. This simple act can transform any relationship. 5. Social skills. Finally, social skills. This pillar is about using self-awareness, regulation, motivation, and empathy to navigate relationships effectively. It's the ability to communicate clearly, resolve conflicts, inspire others, and build networks. Think of someone who always brings people together, smooths over disagreements, and makes everyone feel valued. That's emotional intelligence in action. Good social skills aren't about being extroverted or charming. They're about genuine connection. It means being assertive without being aggressive, collaborative without being a pushover, and clear without being cold. One way to improve social skills is through emotional validation. Instead of ignoring or dismissing someone's feelings, acknowledge them. For example, saying, "I understand this is frustrating for you," goes a long way in calming tensions and showing respect. Why this foundation matters. So, let's step back. These 5 pillars, self-awareness, self-regulation, motivation, empathy, and social skills, form the foundation of emotional intelligence. Without one, the whole structure wobbles. Together, they create emotional stability, stronger relationships, and better decision-making. Think of EQ like a muscle. The more you train it, the stronger it becomes. But if you ignore it, your life can easily fall into cycles of conflict, stress, and misunderstanding. The beauty of emotional intelligence is that it's not fixed. Unlike IQ, which is largely set from birth, EQ can be developed at any age. That means no matter where you are right now, whether you feel emotionally clumsy or already self-aware, you can always grow. Your first step forward. So here's your challenge after this chapter. Start paying attention. Notice your emotions during the day. Notice how people around you feel. Take mental notes. It doesn't matter if you're in traffic, in a meeting, or at home with family. Every moment is a chance to practice emotional awareness. Remember, awareness is the beginning of mastery. And mastery of emotions is mastery of life. Chapter 2. Self-awareness, the cornerstone of growth. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you really stopped and asked yourself, why am I feeling this way right now? Most of us go through our days on autopilot. We get upset, we get excited, we get stressed, but we don't always pause to understand what's happening inside us. And yet, this is exactly where emotional intelligence begins, with self-awareness. Self-awareness is like turning on a light in a dark room. Suddenly, you can see what's there. Your emotions, your triggers, your strengths, and even your blind spots. Without it, you're moving through life in the dark, reacting instead of responding, guessing instead of understanding. But with it, you gain clarity, control, and confidence. Why self-awareness is the cornerstone. Think of emotional intelligence as a building. The foundation is self-awareness. If the foundation is weak, everything else, self-regulation, empathy, social skills, wobbles. Because how can you regulate emotions you don't even recognize? How can you empathize with others if you're out of touch with yourself? That's why every great leader, every emotionally intelligent person, starts here. They know who they are. They know what drives them. And they know how their emotions influence the people around them. The two levels of self-awareness. Psychologists describe two main levels of self-awareness: internal awareness and external awareness. Internal awareness. This is about understanding your inner world. Your thoughts, feelings, values, and beliefs. For example, I know I get anxious when deadlines are tight because I value control and preparation. External awareness. This is about understanding how other people see you, how your emotions and behavior affect them. For instance, when I speak quickly in meetings, my team feels rushed. Both levels matter. Some people are great at knowing what they feel but clueless about how they come across. Others are highly aware of their reputation but disconnected from their inner world. Mastery comes when you balance both. Recognizing your emotional triggers. One of the most powerful parts of self-awareness is learning to recognize your triggers. These are situations, words, or behaviors from others that spark strong emotions in you. For example, maybe criticism instantly makes you defensive. Or maybe being ignored makes you angry. These reactions often come from deep-rooted experiences, childhood, past failures, or even fears we don't consciously acknowledge. Here's the secret. Once you know your triggers, they lose their power over you. Instead of reacting blindly, you can pause and respond thoughtfully. Practical exercise. Next time you feel a strong emotional reaction, anger, jealousy, fear, pause and ask yourself, what just triggered this? Where is this coming from? Keep a simple trigger journal to track patterns. You'll be surprised how quickly clarity grows. The role of mindfulness. If self-awareness is the cornerstone, mindfulness is the tool that builds it. Mindfulness means paying attention to your thoughts and emotions in the present moment, without judgment. Think of your mind like the sky, and emotions like clouds passing by. Sometimes they're light and fluffy, sometimes they're dark and stormy. But mindfulness teaches you that you are not the clouds. You are the sky. You can observe emotions without being controlled by them. Even just 5 minutes of daily mindfulness can sharpen your awareness dramatically. Try this. When you feel stressed, pause and take 3 slow breaths. Notice where the tension is in your body. Is it in your chest? Your shoulders? Just noticing it begins to shift it. The mirror of reflection. Self-awareness also grows through reflection. At the end of each day, take a few minutes to ask yourself 3 simple questions. What emotions did I feel most strongly today? How did those emotions influence my actions? If I could replay one moment, how would I handle it differently? This small daily practice builds emotional clarity like a muscle. Over time, you'll start spotting patterns, like realizing you're always short-tempered on Monday mornings, or that you feel energized after helping others. Those insights are gold. Feedback, the outside mirror. Now, here's something important. We all have blind spots. Things about ourselves we can't see but others can. That's why feedback is a powerful tool for self-awareness. It takes courage to ask others, how do I come across? But often, their answers reveal truths you'd never notice on your own. A practical way to do this is the start, stop, continue exercise. Ask a trusted friend or colleague, what should I start doing to improve? What should I stop doing that hurts me or others? What should I continue doing because it's working well? The answers might surprise you. And yes, they might sting. But growth always begins where comfort ends. A story of self-awareness in action. Let me share a quick story. Sarah was a talented manager in a growing company. She worked hard, but her team always seemed stressed around her. Deadlines were missed, morale was low, and she couldn't figure out why. After some coaching, Sarah realized something. Whenever she was under pressure, she became short, abrupt, and dismissive in meetings. She wasn't trying to be rude, but her tone came across as cold. Once she became aware of this, she practiced pausing before speaking and adding one simple phrase, I know this is a lot, we'll get through it together. The result? Her team felt seen, stress dropped, and productivity improved. Nothing changed in her workload. Everything changed in her awareness. Self-awareness and authenticity. There's another gift of self-awareness. Authenticity. When you know yourself, your values, your strengths, your weaknesses, you stop trying to be someone else. You show up real, and people connect with that. Authenticity doesn't mean oversharing or being unfiltered. It means being genuine, aligned, and consistent. When your words, actions, and emotions match your true self, people trust you. Ask yourself, am I living according to my values, or am I living to please others? That single question can transform your life. Practical tools to build self-awareness. Before we close this chapter, let's put this into action. Here are some tools you can start today. Emotion check-ins. Set a reminder 3 times a day. When it goes off, ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? Why? Journaling. Spend 5 minutes each night writing about one emotional moment from your day. What happened, how you felt, and what you learned. Mindful breathing. Whenever emotions rise, pause for 3 breaths. Notice, name, and release. Ask for feedback. Pick one trusted person and ask them for honest input about how you come across. Listen with curiosity, not defensiveness. Value alignment. Write down your top 3 values. Each week, ask yourself, did I live by these? Where did I fall short? Remember, small steps practiced consistently build massive awareness over time. Closing thoughts. Self-awareness is not about being perfect. It's about being honest with yourself. It's about having the courage to look inward, to notice your patterns, and to choose growth over comfort. When you understand yourself deeply, you unlock the power to regulate your emotions, connect with empathy, and build authentic relationships. Without self-awareness, emotional intelligence is impossible. With it, everything else becomes possible. Chapter 3. Understanding your emotional triggers. Have you ever noticed how one little comment, one small gesture, or even one look from someone can completely change your mood? Maybe a colleague questions your work and suddenly you feel defensive. Or your partner forgets something important, and in seconds, you're furious. It feels almost automatic, like you're being pushed by an invisible button. That button is what we call an emotional trigger. And understanding your triggers is one of the most powerful steps in mastering emotional intelligence. What are emotional triggers? An emotional trigger is anything, an event, a word, a behavior, or even a memory, that sparks an intense emotional reaction inside you. Sometimes it's anger, sometimes sadness, sometimes fear. And often, the reaction feels much bigger than the situation itself. For example, imagine a boss saying, "This report could have been better." For one person, that's constructive feedback. For another, it feels like a personal attack. The difference isn't in the words. The difference is in the trigger. Triggers are deeply personal. They usually come from past experiences, unmet needs, or old wounds. Maybe as a child, you were criticized often. Now, even gentle feedback lights up that old pain. Or maybe you felt abandoned in the past, so when someone cancels plans, it feels like rejection all over again. Why triggers matter? Here's the thing. Triggers are not the enemy. They're signals. They're your emotions trying to tell you something about your past, your values, or your fears. The problem isn't the trigger. It's our unconscious reaction to it. When we don't understand our triggers, we react instead of respond. We lash out, withdraw, or shut down. But when we do understand them, we gain the power to pause, breathe, and choose a healthier response. In other words, understanding your triggers gives you back control over your life. Common emotional triggers. Even though triggers are personal, there are some common ones many people share. Let's explore a few. Criticism, feeling judged or not good enough. Rejection, being ignored, excluded, or dismissed. Loss of control, when things don't go the way we planned. Disrespect, feeling undervalued or overlooked. Uncertainty, not knowing what will happen next. Comparison, seeing others succeed and feeling insecure. Notice how these triggers tie into basic human needs: acceptance, security, respect, and belonging. When those needs feel threatened, the emotional alarm goes off. A story about triggers. Let's take an example. Mark was a highly skilled professional, but he had one recurring problem. Whenever his boss gave him feedback, he exploded defensively. His colleagues thought he was arrogant. But the truth? Mark grew up with a father who constantly criticized him. As a child, nothing he did was ever enough. So as an adult, whenever he heard feedback, it wasn't just his boss's voice he heard, it was the echo of his father's words. That trigger made him react as if he were still that hurt little boy. The day Mark realized this was the day everything started to change. He learned to pause, remind himself, this is feedback, not an attack, and respond calmly. Over time, his relationships at work improved dramatically. The lesson? Behind every strong emotional reaction, there's usually a story. When you uncover that story, the trigger loses its power. Steps to identifying your triggers. So how do you uncover your own triggers? Here's a step-by-step process. Step 1. Notice the reaction. Whenever you feel a sudden rush of emotion, anger, shame, fear, defensiveness, pause. Don't judge it. Just notice it. Step 2. Ask, what's the story? Ask yourself, why am I feeling this so strongly? What past experience might this connect to? Often, the intensity of the emotion comes from history, not the present. Step 3. Look for patterns. Keep a trigger journal. Write down the situations that spark strong emotions. Over time, patterns emerge. Maybe you'll notice that criticism always sets you off, or that being ignored makes you unusually angry. Step 4. Identify the need. Every trigger points to an unmet need. For example, criticism may trigger you because you need validation. Rejection may trigger you because you need belonging. Once you know the need, you can address it in healthier ways. Practical techniques to manage triggers. Now, once you've identified a trigger, how do you manage it in real time? Here are some tools. Pause and breathe. The first step is always to create space. Take 3 deep breaths. This calms the nervous system and prevents instant reactions. Name the emotion. Say to yourself, I feel defensive right now, or I feel dismissed. Naming the emotion helps regulate it. Reframe the situation. Ask, is there another way to see this? For example, instead of they're attacking me, reframe to they're giving me feedback to help me grow. Respond with curiosity. Instead of reacting, get curious. Say, can you tell me more about what you mean? Curiosity turns conflict into dialogue. Self-compassion, remind yourself, it's okay to feel this way. I'm human. Self-kindness softens the sting of triggers. The power of anticipation. Here's a bonus insight. Many triggers are predictable. If you know criticism is your trigger, you can prepare before a feedback session. If family gatherings always stir up tension, you can plan how to stay calm. Think of it like emotional weather forecasting. When you know the storm is coming, you can bring an umbrella. Why this matters for relationships. Understanding your triggers doesn't just help you, it helps your relationships too. Imagine how different conflicts would be if you could say, I realize I get defensive when I feel criticized. Can we approach this gently? I know I sometimes shut down when I feel ignored. I'm working on it. When you own your triggers, you disarm conflict. You invite honesty, vulnerability, and deeper connection. A quick exercise. The trigger map. Here's something you can try today. Draw 2 columns on a piece of paper. On the left, write down situations where you felt an intense reaction. On the right, write the possible trigger and the need behind it. For example, situation. My boss questioned my report. Trigger. Criticism. Need. Validation and respect. This exercise transforms vague emotions into clear insights. And clarity is power. Closing thoughts. Your triggers are not weaknesses. They are teachers. Each trigger is a signpost pointing you toward an area of growth, healing, or unmet need. When you ignore your triggers, they control you. But when you understand them, they guide you. They become tools for self-discovery, not weapons of destruction. So, the next time you feel that emotional rush, don't fight it. Pause, breathe, and ask, what is this trigger trying to teach me? That one question can change your reactions, your relationships, and your entire life. Headphone in the next chapter will go deeper into the power of self-reflection, how to build an honest relationship with yourself, uncover hidden emotions, and use reflection as a tool for continuous growth. Stay with me. The journey to emotional mastery is just getting more powerful. Chapter 4. The Power of Self-Reflection. Pause for a moment and imagine this. You're standing in front of a mirror. Not the kind that shows you your hair, your clothes, or your appearance, but a mirror that reflects your inner world. Your emotions. Your decisions. Your patterns. That mirror is self-reflection. And if self-awareness is the cornerstone of emotional intelligence, then self-reflection is the daily practice that strengthens it. Why self-reflection matters. Here's the truth. Life moves fast. We rush from one task to the next, one conversation to the next, one responsibility to another. Without pausing to reflect, we miss the lessons hidden in our experiences. Think of your mind like a sponge. Every day it soaks up information, emotions, and experiences. But unless you squeeze the sponge, unless you reflect, you don't extract the wisdom. Self-reflection is how you squeeze meaning out of your daily life. It's the practice of asking yourself, why did I react the way I did? What am I really feeling? What do I need to learn from this situation? When you reflect, you grow. Without reflection, you repeat. The link between reflection and growth. Let me share a quick story. Maria was a talented young professional. She was ambitious, hardworking, and full of energy. But she had one problem. She kept burning out. Every 6 months, she'd hit a wall, overwhelmed, exhausted, frustrated. She couldn't figure out why. One day, she started journaling each night. Just 10 minutes of reflection. Within a month, she noticed a pattern. She never said no. Every time someone asked for help, she agreed, even if it meant sacrificing her own priorities. That single insight, revealed through reflection, changed everything. Maria learned to set boundaries. She still worked hard, but now she avoided burnout. Reflection gave her awareness. Awareness gave her choice. And choice gave her freedom. The psychology of self-reflection. Psychologists often say, experience isn't the best teacher, evaluated experience is. In other words, going through situations isn't enough. We have to process them. Reflection helps us uncover patterns, repeated habits or triggers we didn't notice, beliefs, the hidden stories we tell ourselves, blind spots, ways we affect others without realizing, values, what truly matters to us at the core. Without reflection, these remain hidden. With reflection, they come into the light. How to practice self-reflection. So how do we actually do this? Let's break it down into practical steps you can use every day. 1. Daily check-in. At the end of each day, ask yourself 3 simple questions. What went well today? What challenged me today? What did I learn about myself? This quick check-in takes just 5 minutes but builds incredible awareness over time. 2. The emotional replay. Pick one emotional moment from your day. Maybe you felt angry, joyful, anxious, or proud. Replay it in your mind. What triggered this emotion? How did I react? What would I do differently next time? This exercise transforms emotional reactions into lessons. 3. Journaling. Writing is a powerful tool because it slows down your thoughts. When you put feelings on paper, you gain distance from them. You can see them more clearly, almost as if they belong to someone else. You don't need to write an essay. Just a few sentences about your feelings and insights each day can change your perspective. 4. Weekly reflection ritual. Once a week, take 30 minutes to reflect more deeply. Ask yourself, did I live according to my values this week? Where did I let emotions control me? Where did I show growth? This ritual keeps you aligned with your long-term goals. The role of feedback in reflection. Now, here's something important. Reflection isn't just about looking inward, it's also about listening outward. Sometimes, we can't see ourselves clearly. We have blind spots. That's why asking for feedback is so valuable. Try this. Ask someone you trust to share one thing you do well and one thing you could improve. Then reflect on it. Don't argue. Don't defend. Just reflect. Feedback plus reflection creates powerful growth. Avoiding the trap of overthinking. Now, let me be clear. Self-reflection is not the same as overthinking. Overthinking keeps you stuck in endless what-ifs and self-criticism. Reflection, on the other hand, is purposeful and balanced. The difference is in the questions you ask. Overthinking asks, "What's wrong with me?" Reflection asks, "What can I learn from this?" So, as you reflect, keep your questions constructive. Look for lessons, not self-blame. A story of reflection in leadership. Let's look at another example. David was a team leader at a tech company. He was skilled but struggled with conflict. Whenever team disagreements came up, he avoided them. Projects suffered because issues went unresolved. One day, after a particularly tense meeting, David decided to reflect. He asked himself, "Why do I avoid conflict? What am I afraid of?" Through reflection, he realized he equated conflict with rejection. Growing up, whenever he spoke up, his parents dismissed him. As an adult, he carried that fear into work. That awareness was a turning point. David began practicing small steps, voicing his thoughts in low-stakes situations, then gradually handling bigger conflicts. Over time, his leadership improved, and his team respected him more. Without reflection, David would have stayed stuck. With reflection, he grew. The gift of honest self-talk. Reflection also means being honest with yourself. Sometimes brutally honest. Am I living the life I want, or the life others expect? Am I making choices out of fear or out of values? Am I hiding behind excuses, or am I taking responsibility? These are not easy questions, but they are liberating ones. Because the truth sets you free, if you have the courage to face it. Practical reflection prompts. To make this easier, here are some powerful prompts you can use anytime. What emotion showed up most for me today? When did I feel most alive this week? When did I feel most drained? What's one decision I made that aligned with my values? What's one decision I regret, and why? Use these prompts in journaling, meditation, or just quiet thought. Closing thoughts. Self-reflection is like holding a compass. Without it, you drift. With it, you can navigate life with clarity. It's not about perfection, it's about progress. Each time you reflect, you peel back another layer, discover a new truth, and step closer to the best version of yourself. So, make reflection a habit. A few minutes a day. A deeper dive each week. Over time, you'll see your emotional intelligence grow stronger, your decisions wiser, and your relationships deeper. Remember, experience teaches you nothing if you don't stop to learn from it. Reflection is how you turn experience into wisdom. In the next chapter, we'll explore mastering self-regulation, how to manage your emotions in real time, stay calm under pressure, and transform impulsive reactions into thoughtful responses. That's where true emotional power begins. Chapter 5. Mastering Self-Regulation. Imagine you're driving home after a long day. Traffic crawls. Someone cuts you off. Your heart races, your jaw tightens, and your hands grip the wheel like you're bracing for impact. In that moment you have two choices: let the anger take the wheel, or steer yourself back to calm. That choice, between impulse and intention, is what self-regulation is all about. It's not about being perfect or emotionless. It's about managing your inner state so you can act in ways that match your values, goals, and long-term well-being. What self-regulation really means. Self-regulation is the ability to manage your emotional impulses, control your reactions, and choose thoughtful responses. Psychologists sometimes call it self-control, emotional control, or emotional regulation. The key idea: emotions happen to you. Regulation is what you do with them. Important distinction: regulation is not equal to suppression. Suppression buries emotions and often makes them worse. Regulation acknowledges the emotion, deals with it, and then decides how to act. Why it matters. When you can regulate your emotions, you make better decisions under pressure. Keep relationships intact during conflict. Perform consistently at work instead of letting mood swings rule your performance. Protect your health. Chronic stress wreaks havoc on body and mind. Self-regulation is the difference between reacting and responding. And responding gives you power. A short story: Amit's turning point. Amit was a talented software engineer. Brilliant at coding, less skilled at managing frustration. When bugs piled up or colleagues missed deadlines, he snapped. Meetings turned tense. People avoided giving him feedback. One day, after a particularly sharp outburst, Amit decided enough was enough. He learned to pause, literally pause, before answering. He practiced breathing, labeled his emotions, and used a simple if-then plan. If I feel anger rising, then I will breathe for 10 seconds and ask one clarifying question. Over time, his team warmed up to him. Problems got solved faster. Amit's work life changed, not because the bugs disappeared, but because he did. How self-regulation works. Quick neuroscience. When something emotional happens, your brain's alarm system, the amygdala, can react faster than your thoughtful part, prefrontal cortex. That's why strong emotions feel sudden and often overwhelming, what some call an amygdala hijack. Self-regulation is about activating the prefrontal cortex to slow the alarm down and choose a response. Good news. With practice you strengthen this thinking muscle. Regulation becomes easier. Practical tools you can use right now. Here are evidence-based, simple techniques you can use in the moment and in your daily life. 1. Pause, breathe, respond. When you feel triggered, stop. Take 5 slow, deep breaths. This short delay calms your nervous system and creates space for choice. 2. Name the emotion. Say to yourself, silently or aloud, I feel angry, or I feel anxious. Labeling reduces the raw intensity and helps your brain process the emotion. 3. Box breathing. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, hold for 4. Repeat 3 to 5 times. It's quick, portable, and effective for grounding. 4. Urge surfing. Imagine the emotion as a wave. Instead of fighting it, ride it. Notice the peak. Notice the subsiding. Most urges pass if you don't act on them. 5. reframing, cognitive reappraisal. Ask, what else could this mean? Reinterpret the event in a neutral or helpful way. Example, they weren't ignoring me, they're distracted. This reduces emotional intensity. 6. Implementation intentions, if-then plans. Create simple plans for known triggers. Example, if someone criticizes me, then I will say, tell me more, and take notes. Pre-deciding the response reduces impulsive reactions. 7. Grounding exercise. 5-4-3-2-1. Name 5 things you see, for you can touch, 3 you hear, 2 you smell, 1 you taste. This pulls attention to the present and away from the emotional spiral. 8. Progressive muscle relaxation. Tense, then relax muscle groups from toes to head. Helpful for chronic tension and stress. Building regulation into your life, habits that stick. Short techniques help in the moment. Lasting change comes from habits. Daily mindfulness. 5 to 10 minutes of mindful breathing strengthens your ability to notice emotions early. Sleep and movement. Poor sleep and no exercise make regulation harder. Treat them as non-negotiables. Pre-commitment. Make choices ahead of time, e.g., I won't check email after 9 p.m. Reduces temptation and emotional reactivity. Environment design. Remove easy triggers. Turn off toxic news notifications. Set friction for impulsive behaviors. Practice small wins. Practice regulating in low-stakes moments so you're ready for high-stakes ones. Handling specific situations. Angry email. Don't reply immediately. Write a draft and save it. Wait 24 hours. Reframe and respond calmly. Conflict at work. Use I language. I'm feeling overwhelmed by this deadline. Can we explore priorities? This lowers defensiveness. Parenting stress. Pause and breathe before correcting. Model regulation for children. Kids learn by watching. Pitfalls to avoid. Perfectionism. You won't be calm 100% of the time. That's fine. Regulation is about progress. Suppression. Bottling feelings will cause them to explode later. Use naming and processing instead. Shame about feelings. Emotions are data, not indictments. Treat them like signals to learn from. A simple daily practice. Try this 2-minute evening ritual for 21 days. Recall one emotionally strong moment from the day. Name the emotion, e.g., I felt anxious. Ask, what triggered it? What did I do? What could I do next time? Commit to one small, if-then, plan for similar moments. This tiny habit rewires your regulation muscle faster than you think. Closing and next step. Self-regulation gives you the ability to steer your life rather than being tossed by the tides. It turns reactive chaos into intentional action. You won't become perfectly calm overnight, but each pause, each breath, each named emotion builds a life where decisions come from your values, not your momentary state. In the next chapter, we'll explore emotional resilience, how to bounce back from setbacks, recover from emotional hits, and grow stronger through adversity. Because regulation helps in the moment, resilience helps you recover and thrive over the long run. Chapter 6. Building Emotional Resilience. Life is unpredictable. One moment everything feels smooth, the next a storm hits. Maybe it's a failed project, a broken relationship, financial struggles, or unexpected news that shakes your world. In those moments, what matters most isn't how smart you are, how wealthy you are, or how popular you are. What matters most is your resilience, your ability to bounce back. Emotional resilience is the strength to recover from setbacks, adapt to change, and keep moving forward even when life feels heavy. Think of it as emotional elasticity. You can stretch, bend, even get knocked down, but you return to shape, often stronger than before. Why emotional resilience matters. Resilience doesn't mean you never feel pain, sadness, or disappointment. In fact, resilient people often feel deeply. The difference is, they don't stay stuck. They find ways to process emotions, regain balance, and rebuild. Imagine 2 people lose their job on the same day. One spirals into despair, replaying the failure over and over. The other acknowledges the pain, allows themselves to grieve, but then asks, "What can I do next?" That second person demonstrates resilience. Resilience is not about denying reality. It's about facing reality, processing it, and moving forward with hope and strength. The psychology of resilience. Psychologists often describe resilience as a combination of three factors: acceptance, recognizing what happened without denial; adaptation, adjusting thoughts, behaviors, and expectations to the new reality; action, taking steps, however small, to move forward. Notice that resilience isn't passive. It's an active process. A story of resilience. Thomas Edison. When Thomas Edison's laboratory burned down in 1914, years of hard work and priceless research went up in flames. Most people would have been crushed. But Edison simply said, "Thank God all our mistakes were burned up. Now we can start fresh again." Within 3 weeks, his team was working again. That's resilience, not ignoring the loss, but reframing it and bouncing back with determination. The role of self-regulation in resilience. The previous chapter on self-regulation ties directly into resilience. Why? Because setbacks trigger strong emotions: fear, anger, despair. If you can regulate those emotions, you can think clearly enough to find solutions. Without regulation, emotions take control, and resilience becomes nearly impossible. How to build emotional resilience, step by step. The good news? Resilience isn't a trait you either have or don't. It's a skill. And like any skill, you can strengthen it with practice. 1. Reframe challenges. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" ask, "What can I learn from this?" Or, "How can this make me stronger?" Reframing shifts you from victim mode to growth mode. 2. Strengthen your inner dialogue. Pay attention to how you talk to yourself. Do you say, "I'll never get through this"? Or do you say, "This is tough, but I've overcome tough things before"? Resilient people talk to themselves like a supportive coach, not a harsh critic. 3. Build a support network. No one is resilient alone. Friends, family, mentors, even professional counselors help us process pain and remind us of our strength. Sharing your burden lightens it. 4. Practice flexibility. Resilience requires flexibility. Life won't always go according to plan. If plan A fails, resilient people quickly move to plan B, C, or D. Adaptability keeps you from getting stuck. 5. Care for your body. Emotional resilience is tied to physical well-being. Sleep, nutrition, and exercise aren't luxuries, they're foundations. A tired, stressed body can't handle setbacks with strength. 6. Focus on what you can control. So much of life is outside your control. Resilient people don't waste energy on those things. They zoom in on the one thing they can control: their response. Exercise. The Resilience Journal. Here's a practical exercise you can start today. At the end of the day, write down one challenge you faced. Write what emotion it triggered. Then write, "What's one small action I can take tomorrow to improve the situation?" This simple reflection builds the habit of seeing problems not as dead ends, but as starting points for action. The role of gratitude in resilience. It may sound simple, but gratitude is one of the most powerful resilience tools. When life hits hard, your brain naturally focuses on what's wrong. Gratitude redirects focus to what's still right. Try this. Each night, list 3 things you're grateful for. They don't have to be huge. Maybe it's a good meal, a kind text, or simply the fact that you made it through a tough day. Over time, this trains your brain to see hope even in hardship. From survival to growth. Here's the most inspiring part of resilience. It doesn't just help you survive hardship, it can help you grow through it. Psychologists call this post-traumatic growth. People who face adversity often emerge with stronger appreciation for life, deeper relationships, greater inner strength, a clearer sense of purpose. Think about it. Some of the strongest, most inspiring people you know didn't get there because life was easy. They got there because life tested them, and they grew through the test. A story of growth, Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in prison. By all accounts, he had every reason to become bitter, angry, or broken. Instead, he used that time to reflect, learn, and build resilience. When he finally walked free, he emerged not with vengeance, but with forgiveness and vision. He became the leader who helped heal a divided nation. That's resilience at its highest form, not just surviving pain, but transforming it into purpose. Daily practices for emotional resilience. Let's make this practical with habits you can start building today. Morning mindset check. Start each day with one empowering thought. Example, no matter what comes today, I have the strength to face it. Resilience ritual. When something stressful happens, pause and ask, will this matter in 5 years? This perspective often shrinks the problem. Physical anchor. Choose a calming action like placing your hand on your heart, breathing deeply, or stepping outside. Anchor it to stress moments. Growth mindset reflection. Each week, ask, what challenge this week helped me grow? Write it down. Closing thoughts. Resilience doesn't mean you won't fall. It means when you fall, you rise. It means turning pain into wisdom, setbacks into lessons, and challenges into stepping stones. Remember, resilience is built in the small daily struggles, not just the big life events. Every time you adapt, every time you bounce back, every time you choose hope over despair, you're training your resilience muscle. And the stronger that muscle becomes, the more unshakable you'll feel, no matter what storms come your way. In the next chapter, we'll explore the role of motivation in emotional intelligence. How to ignite your inner drive, stay focused, and keep moving forward even when your emotions try to pull you off course. Because resilience helps you bounce back, but motivation helps you keep going. Chapter 7. The role of motivation in emotional intelligence. Think for a moment about what really drives you. What gets you out of bed in the morning? What keeps you going when the road gets tough? That force, the spark inside you that fuels action, is motivation. When we talk about emotional intelligence, many people think of self-awareness, empathy, or social skills. And yes, those are vital. But without motivation, without that inner fire, emotional intelligence doesn't have the energy to grow. Motivation is the engine that keeps everything moving. What motivation really means. Motivation in emotional intelligence isn't just about chasing success or hitting goals. It's about having a consistent, resilient drive fueled by your values and passions. Researchers often divide motivation into two main types. Extrinsic motivation, driven by outside rewards, money, recognition, approval. Intrinsic motivation, driven by inner satisfaction, growth, meaning, purpose. Extrinsic rewards can push you for a while, but they fade. True emotional intelligence thrives on intrinsic motivation, the kind that comes from within. The connection between motivation and emotional intelligence. So, what's the link between motivation and EQ? Self-awareness helps you understand what truly inspires you. Self-regulation keeps you focused when distractions or emotions try to derail you. Resilience allows you to stay motivated even after setbacks. Empathy lets you connect your goals to a greater purpose, helping others, building community, creating impact. In short, motivation isn't just about getting things done. It's about aligning your actions with your emotional world, so the fuel never runs out. A story. The Marathon Runner. Let me share a story. Carla had never been a runner. But after losing her father, she decided to run a marathon in his honor. The first week of training was brutal. Her legs hurt, her lungs burned, and her mind kept whispering, "Quit. This isn't for you." But Carla didn't quit. Why? Because her motivation wasn't about medals or bragging rights. It was about meaning. Every step she took was a tribute to her father's resilience. Months later, she crossed that finish line, not because she loved running, but because her why was stronger than her excuses. That's the power of motivation connected to emotional intelligence. When your goal is tied to something deeply personal, you'll keep going long after others stop. The psychology of motivation. Psychologists like Daniel Goleman, who popularized emotional intelligence, remind us that motivated people share a few traits. Optimism, They see obstacles as challenges to overcome, not dead ends. Commitment. They stay consistent with their goals. Initiative. They take action without waiting for the perfect moment. Achievement drive. They push themselves to grow, not just to win. And here's the key, all of these can be developed through practice. Practical ways to strengthen motivation. Let's talk about strategies you can start using today. 1. Define your why. Ask yourself, why does this goal matter? Keep digging until you uncover the deeper reason. Write it down. Look at it daily. Motivation fades when goals lose meaning. 2. Set intrinsic goals. Instead of chasing only money, promotions, or praise, focus on growth, mastery, and contribution. For example, I want to learn this skill because it will make me stronger and more confident. 3. Visualize the outcome. Athletes do this all the time. Picture yourself succeeding. Feel the emotions of achieving it. Visualization wires your brain for motivation. 4. Break big goals into small wins. Nothing kills motivation faster than overwhelm. Break your big vision into smaller, achievable steps. Celebrate each win. It keeps the momentum alive. 5. Surround yourself with energy. Your environment matters. Spend time with motivated, positive people. Inspiration is contagious. 6. Practice self-compassion. Motivation doesn't mean pushing yourself harshly. Self-criticism kills drive. Instead, treat yourself with kindness when you stumble, then refocus on your why. The role of emotions in motivation. Here's something people often overlook. Motivation is emotional. You can't separate the two. Think about it. When you're excited, you feel unstoppable. When you're discouraged, even small tasks feel impossible. That's why emotionally intelligent motivation isn't about ignoring feelings. It's about channeling them. Ask yourself, what emotions fuel me? E.g., hope, love, passion. What emotions drain me? E.g., fear, doubt, resentment. The more you understand these emotional fuels, the better you can direct them toward your goals. A story of intrinsic drive. J.K. Rowling. Before Harry Potter became a global phenomenon, J.K. Rowling was a struggling single mother living on welfare. She faced rejection after rejection from publishers. By most standards, she had every reason to quit. But her motivation wasn't about fame or money. It was about sharing a story she believed in. That inner drive kept her writing through rejection after rejection. Eventually, her persistence paid off, and her story reached millions. Rowling's success came not from external motivation but from an internal flame that no setback could extinguish. Daily motivation habits. Here are simple practices you can build into your routine. Morning intention. Start your day by asking, what's one thing I want to accomplish today that aligns with my bigger purpose? Gratitude boost. Each night, write one thing you're grateful for in your progress, no matter how small. Gratitude fuels motivation. Energy audit. Notice what activities give you energy and what drains you. Do more of the former, less of the latter. Motivation anchor. Keep a photo, quote, or symbol of your why somewhere visible, on your desk, phone, or mirror. When motivation fades. Let's be honest. Motivation isn't always sky high. There will be days when you feel tired, discouraged, or uninspired. That's normal. Here's the trick. Don't wait for motivation to act. Act first, and motivation will often follow. Momentum creates motivation. So when you don't feel like doing something, start small. Just 5 minutes. Write 1 paragraph. Do 5 push-ups. Make 1 phone call. Small steps build big drive. Closing thoughts. Motivation is the heartbeat of emotional intelligence. It's the force that transforms awareness into action, resilience into progress, and empathy into impact. Remember, the strongest motivation doesn't come from outside, it comes from within. When your goals are rooted in values, meaning, and purpose, no setback can fully extinguish your fire. So ask yourself today, what's my why? When you find it, you'll unlock a source of energy that can carry you through any challenge. In the next chapter, we'll explore the power of empathy, how to understand others on a deeper level, connect emotionally, and build relationships that truly last. Because motivation fuels your journey, but empathy makes sure you don't walk it alone. Chapter 8. The Power of Empathy. Have you ever met someone and instantly felt that they get you? Maybe it's a friend, a mentor, or even a stranger. They listen, nod, and somehow, in their presence, your thoughts and feelings feel valid. That experience, that connection, is empathy. Empathy is one of the most powerful aspects of emotional intelligence. It's the ability to understand, feel, and respond to the emotions of others, not just with your mind, but with your heart. And in a world that often feels disconnected, empathy is what bridges the gap between isolation and true human connection. What empathy really is. Many people confuse empathy with sympathy. There's a subtle but crucial difference. Sympathy. Feeling for someone. Example, I feel sorry for you. Empathy. Feeling with someone. Example, I understand what you're going through, and I'm here with you. Empathy isn't just emotional, it's relational. It allows you to connect authentically, respond thoughtfully, and build trust. Why empathy matters. Empathy is essential in all areas of life. Relationships. Couples, friends, and families thrive when people feel understood. Work. Leaders who practice empathy inspire loyalty, collaboration, and higher performance. Conflict resolution. Understanding another person's perspective often prevents escalation and finds common ground. Personal growth. Empathy expands your perspective, deepens understanding, and increases emotional awareness. Simply put, empathy is the social glue that holds connections together. The psychology behind empathy. Scientists describe empathy in 3 layers. Cognitive empathy. Understanding what another person is thinking or feeling. Emotional empathy. Feeling what another person feels. Compassionate empathy. Not only understanding and feeling, but taking action to help. The most powerful form of empathy is compassionate empathy. It's empathy with purpose. It's the difference between I understand your pain and I'm here to support you through it. A story of empathy in action. Consider the story of Maya, a team leader in a busy marketing firm. One of her team members, Raj, was underperforming. Instead of scolding him, Maya paused to ask, "What's going on? Is there something affecting your work?" Raj opened up about stress at home and a lack of confidence on the job. Maya didn't just listen. She offered mentorship, adjusted deadlines, and provided encouragement. Within weeks, Raj's performance improved dramatically. Why? Because empathy created a safe space. Raj felt seen, heard, and supported. That connection inspired him to do better. Not because he was forced, but because he wanted to. The connection between empathy and emotional intelligence. Empathy is a cornerstone of EQ because it combines awareness, regulation, and social skill. Self-awareness helps you notice your own biases and emotional reactions when interacting with others. Self-regulation allows you to stay calm and patient when emotions run high. Motivation fuels the desire to connect genuinely. Social skills help you act on your understanding in ways that strengthen relationships. In essence, empathy isn't just feeling, it's feeling with a purpose. Practical ways to develop empathy. Empathy is a skill you can strengthen, just like any other. Here's how. 1. Active listening. Focus entirely on the other person. Listen without planning your response. Repeat back what you heard. It sounds like you're frustrated because this validates their experience. 2. Observe body language. People communicate more through gestures, tone, and expressions than words. Notice posture, facial expressions, and tone to understand emotions beneath the surface. 3. Ask open-ended questions. Instead of yes/no questions, ask, "How did that make you feel?" or "What was going through your mind?" Open questions encourage deeper sharing. 4. Put yourself in their shoes. Imagine their perspective. Ask, "If I were experiencing this, how would I feel?" Perspective taking strengthens cognitive empathy. 5. Reflect and validate. Sometimes people just want to be heard. Acknowledge their emotions without judgment. I can see why that upset you. 6. Practice small acts of compassion. Empathy becomes stronger when paired with action. Small gestures, checking in, offering support, helping solve a problem, reinforce your connection. Empathy and conflict resolution. Empathy is especially powerful during conflict. Most arguments escalate because people feel misunderstood. When you practice empathy, you slow down. You consider the other person's feelings. You respond thoughtfully instead of reacting impulsively. For example, instead of saying, "You never listen to me," you could say, "I feel unheard when I explain my perspective. Can we try another approach?" This subtle shift, fueled by empathy, often diffuses tension and fosters collaboration. Empathy as a leadership tool. Leaders who lack empathy may command compliance, but they rarely inspire loyalty. Leaders who practice empathy recognize the emotional climate of their team, understand motivations and frustrations, inspire engagement, trust, and commitment. Empathy doesn't mean being soft. It means being aware, understanding, and responsive. Strong leaders balance empathy with boundaries and decision-making. Daily practices to strengthen empathy. Mindful observation. Spend 5 to 10 minutes each day noticing how people behave in public spaces. Guess their emotions and reflect on what might be happening in their lives. Empathy journaling. After interactions, write down what you think others felt and why. Consider how you responded and what you could do differently next time. Perspective-taking exercises. When you disagree with someone, try to write their argument as if you were them. This builds cognitive empathy. Random acts of compassion. Small, intentional gestures of kindness strengthen your compassionate empathy. Closing thoughts. Empathy is the bridge between emotional intelligence and real human connection. It allows you to understand without judgment, feel without getting lost, and act without losing yourself. When you practice empathy, relationships deepen, conflicts ease, and your influence grows. But perhaps most importantly, empathy reminds us that every person carries a story, often unseen, often unspoken. And when we see and honor that story, we create a world of understanding, trust, and emotional connection. In the next chapter, we'll explore effective communication, how to express yourself clearly, listen actively, and use emotional intelligence to connect, persuade, and inspire in every conversation. Because empathy gives you understanding, but communication gives you influence. Chapter 9. Effective communication. Have you ever been in a conversation where no one seems to listen? Or perhaps you've said something you thought was clear, but the other person completely misunderstood you. Frustrating, right? Effective communication is more than speaking clearly. It's a core part of emotional intelligence. It's about connecting, influencing, and inspiring others while staying authentic and empathetic. When communication flows well, relationships thrive, conflicts diminish, and your voice carries impact. The emotional intelligence behind communication. At its core, communication isn't just words. It's a combination of self-awareness, knowing your emotions, intentions, and triggers while speaking. Empathy, understanding how your words and tone affect others. Self-regulation, choosing your words thoughtfully, even when emotions run high. Social skill, crafting messages in ways that encourage connection, trust, and collaboration. Without EQ, even the clearest words can fall flat, or worse, backfire. The pillars of effective communication. Clarity. Ambiguous words confuse and frustrate people. Be clear about what you want to convey. Use simple, concise language. Avoid jargon or unnecessary filler. Active listening. Listening is more than hearing words. It's fully engaging with the speaker. Nod, make eye contact, and summarize what you heard. Active listening validates the other person and reduces misunderstandings. Empathetic response. Respond to emotions, not just words. If someone seems upset, acknowledge it. I hear that you're frustrated. Let's figure this out together. Empathy transforms conversations into connections. Nonverbal communication. Your tone, gestures, posture, and facial expressions speak louder than words. Ensure your nonverbal cues match your intended message. Timing and patience. Sometimes the most effective communication comes from knowing when not to speak. Pause before responding to emotional statements. Give space for reflection. A story. Communication in action. Sophia was a manager in a fast-paced startup. She noticed her team often misunderstood instructions, causing missed deadlines. Instead of yelling or micromanaging, she decided to practice emotional intelligence in communication. First, she actively listened to her team's concerns. Then, she rephrased instructions clearly, checked for understanding, and validated feelings. She noticed her tone and body language became calmer and more inviting. Within weeks, productivity increased, misunderstandings decreased, and the team felt more connected and motivated. Sophia realized communication isn't just about giving instructions, it's about creating understanding. Barriers to effective communication. Even with the best intentions, communication can fail. Common barriers include emotional hijacking. Speaking while angry or upset leads to reactive, hurtful words. Assumptions. Thinking you know what someone means without asking clarifying questions. Distractions. Multitasking or thinking about your response instead of listening. Cultural or language differences. Words or gestures may mean different things to different people. Awareness of these barriers allows you to navigate conversations more mindfully. Practical techniques for clear and effective communication. 1. Use I statements. Instead of saying, "You never listen to me," try, "I feel unheard when my points aren't acknowledged. Can we try a different approach?" I statements reduce defensiveness and encourage dialogue. 2. Reflective listening. Repeat back what you heard in your own words. Example: "So what I'm hearing is that you feel overwhelmed by the project timeline." This ensures clarity and shows you are engaged. 3. Emotional labeling. Acknowledge the emotions you notice. "It seems like you're frustrated. Let's talk about it." Naming emotions diffuses tension and builds trust. 4. Ask open-ended questions. Questions that require more than yes/no answers encourage deeper understanding. Examples: "How did that make you feel?" Or "What outcome are you hoping for?" 5. Pause before responding. If emotions are high, take a breath or a brief pause. This prevents impulsive reactions and allows a thoughtful, composed reply. 6. Practice empathetic nonverbal cues. Smile, nod, maintain eye contact, and lean slightly forward. Your body language reinforces your words and signals attention. 7. Feedback sandwich. When giving constructive feedback, sandwich criticism between positive observations. "I appreciate your effort on this. Here's one area to improve. Overall, I value your contribution." This approach keeps the conversation constructive and encouraging. The power of storytelling. Humans connect with stories. Effective communicators use stories to convey complex ideas simply, inspire and motivate, build emotional connection. For instance, a leader might explain a strategic vision not with abstract numbers, but by sharing a real-life story of how the plan will impact employees and customers. Stories engage both the heart and the mind. Communication in conflict. Conflicts are inevitable, but emotionally intelligent communication can transform them into growth opportunities. Stay calm. Self-regulation keeps discussions productive. Seek to understand. Listen more than you speak. Express your feelings. Use I statements instead of blame. Focus on solutions. Shift from past grievances to actionable steps. Effective conflict communication strengthens relationships rather than breaking them. Daily practices to strengthen communication. Check-in ritual. Ask a colleague, friend, or family member about their day and practice active listening. Record yourself. Listen to your tone and word choices. Notice patterns that may need adjustment. Mirror practice. Stand in front of a mirror and practice delivering messages with calm, confident body language. Reflect on interactions. At the end of the day, ask, "Where did I communicate well?" Where could I improve? Consistency turns awareness into skill. Closing thoughts. Communication is not just about speaking, it's about connection. When paired with emotional intelligence, your words carry empathy, clarity, and influence. You don't just deliver a message, you build trust, inspire action, and deepen relationships. Remember, people may forget what you said, but they will never forget how you made them feel. That is the ultimate power of communication guided by emotional intelligence. In the next chapter, we'll explore conflict resolution and difficult conversations, how to navigate challenging interactions without burning bridges, using emotional intelligence to stay calm, clear, and connected. Because communication is the bridge, conflict resolution is learning how to cross it gracefully. Chapter 10. Conflict Resolution and Difficult Conversations. Conflict. Just the word can make your chest tighten and your mind race. Whether at work, at home, or in friendships, disagreements are inevitable. But here's the truth. Conflict isn't inherently bad. It's how we handle it that makes the difference. Emotional intelligence transforms conflict from a destructive force into an opportunity for understanding, growth, and stronger relationships. Difficult conversations don't have to feel like walking into a minefield. With the right mindset and tools, they can become opportunities for connection and resolution. Why conflicts happen? Most conflicts arise from differing perspectives. People see the world through unique lenses. Unmet needs or expectations. When expectations aren't communicated clearly. Emotional triggers, old wounds or personal sensitivities influencing reactions. Poor communication, misunderstandings caused by unclear words, tone, or body language. Awareness of the root causes allows you to approach conflict strategically rather than reactively. The role of emotional intelligence in conflict resolution. Handling conflicts effectively requires the same pillars of EQ we've explored. Self-awareness. Recognize your emotional triggers before they escalate. Self-regulation. Pause, breathe, and choose responses rather than reacting impulsively. Empathy. Understand the emotions and perspective of the other person. Social skill. Navigate the conversation to reach understanding, agreement, or compromise. When these skills combine, conflict becomes less about winning or losing and more about resolution and growth. A story. Turning conflict into connection. Let me share a story. Raj and Neha worked on a high-pressure project. Deadlines were tight, and tensions ran high. During one meeting, a disagreement escalated, voices were raised, and frustration spilled over. Instead of letting the argument spiral, Neha paused. She acknowledged her emotions. I feel stressed right now, and I want us to find a solution. She asked Raj to share his perspective fully. She listened without interrupting, validated his feelings, and then calmly expressed her concerns. Together, they found a compromise that worked for both. The conflict didn't destroy their relationship, it strengthened it. Why? Because emotional intelligence guided the conversation. Steps to resolve conflicts effectively. 1. Pause before responding. When emotions run high, take a moment. A deep breath or a brief pause can prevent reactive, hurtful words. 2. Identify the real issue. Often, the surface argument isn't the real problem. Ask, what is truly at the heart of this disagreement? 3. Use I statements. Express how you feel without blaming. I feel overwhelmed when deadlines aren't met. Can we plan differently? This reduces defensiveness. 4. Listen actively and empathetically. Focus on understanding, not just replying. Repeat back key points to show you're engaged, so you feel frustrated because of the tight schedule, right? 5. Focus on interests, not positions. Instead of saying, you must do it my way, explore underlying needs. What outcome do we both want? This shifts from conflict to collaboration. 6. Seek solutions together. Brainstorm compromises and options. Aim for solutions where both parties feel heard and respected. 7. Know when to take a break. If the conversation becomes too heated, pause and return later with a calmer mindset. Handling difficult conversations in personal life. Difficult conversations aren't just about work, they happen with friends, family, and partners. Emotional intelligence is especially crucial here. Prepare mentally. Know your key points and desired outcome. Stay calm. Self-regulation prevents escalation. Empathize. Acknowledge feelings before offering solutions. Avoid blame. Focus on behavior, not character. For example, instead of saying, "You're always late," try, "I feel stressed when we start late. Can we agree on a plan to be on time?" Conflict resolution and leadership. Leaders face constant conflicts, often with high stakes. Emotional intelligence makes leaders effective mediators. Recognize group emotions. Notice tension before it explodes. Communicate clearly. Set expectations and clarify misunderstandings. Encourage open dialogue. Invite team members to share concerns safely. Model calm, respectful behavior. People mirror the leader's emotional tone. A leader who handles conflict well fosters trust, loyalty, and collaboration. Emotional triggers and conflict. One of the biggest challenges in conflict is our own triggers. Old wounds, personal insecurities, or biases can magnify disagreements. Self-awareness and reflection help. Notice when a reaction is bigger than the situation warrants. Ask yourself, am I reacting to them, or am I reacting to something from my past? Pause, breathe, and choose a response aligned with your goals. This prevents unnecessary escalation and allows for more productive conversations. Practical exercises for conflict mastery. 1. Role-playing. Practice difficult conversations with a trusted friend or mentor. Role-play different scenarios to build confidence and calmness. 2. Emotional journaling. After a disagreement, write down your emotions, triggers, and reactions. Reflect on what went well and what you could improve next time. 3. Perspective taking. Before responding, list the other person's possible emotions and motivations. This helps you respond with empathy rather than frustration. 4. Daily pause practice. Throughout the day, pause before reacting to minor frustrations. This builds the habit of emotional control that carries over into bigger conflicts. The big picture. Conflict resolution isn't about avoiding disagreements or always getting your way. It's about understanding, connection, and growth. Emotional intelligence turns conflict into a tool, strengthening relationships, building trust, encouraging collaboration, fostering personal and collective growth. When handled well, conflict doesn't divide, it unites. Closing thoughts. Difficult conversations are part of life, but they don't have to be terrifying. With emotional intelligence, you can navigate them with clarity, empathy, and confidence. Pause. Listen. Reflect. Respond thoughtfully. Seek understanding. Focus on solutions. These aren't just tactics, they're habits of emotionally intelligent people. Remember, conflicts are inevitable, but unnecessary damage is optional. Master them, and you don't just survive disagreements. You transform them into opportunities for stronger, deeper connections. In the next chapter, we'll explore building and maintaining strong relationships, how to use emotional intelligence to nurture lasting bonds, trust, and connection in every aspect of life. Because resolving conflict well sets the stage, relationships are where emotional intelligence truly shines. Chapter 11. Building and maintaining strong relationships. We are social creatures. Humans are wired to connect, share, and belong. And yet, relationships, whether romantic, familial, or professional, can sometimes feel fragile, challenging, or even exhausting. Why? Because relationships require more than just time. They require emotional intelligence. Strong relationships don't happen by accident. They are cultivated through awareness, empathy, communication, and trust. The good news is that anyone can strengthen their ability to connect deeply with others by practicing emotional intelligence. Why relationships matter. Our connections define the quality of our lives. Studies consistently show that people with strong, positive relationships are healthier, both physically and mentally, happier and more fulfilled, more resilient during stressful times, more successful in personal and professional pursuits. In short, relationships aren't just a bonus, they're central to emotional well-being. The role of emotional intelligence in relationships. Emotional intelligence is the glue that strengthens bonds. Consider these 4 core aspects. Self-awareness. Understanding your own emotions allows you to navigate conflicts and respond authentically. Self-regulation. Controlling impulses, managing stress, and staying calm protects relationships from unnecessary tension. Empathy. Recognizing and valuing the emotions of others builds trust and intimacy. Social skills. Clear communication, active listening, and conflict resolution keep connections strong. Without EQ, relationships often become reactive and strained. With EQ, they flourish. A story. From struggle to connection. Sarah and Aman had been friends for years, but their friendship had started to drift. Small disagreements became frequent arguments, and they rarely felt understood. Instead of letting the distance grow, Sarah decided to apply emotional intelligence. She focused on listening actively, asking questions to understand Aman's perspective, and regulating her own reactions during disagreements. Over time, the friendship transformed. Conversations became supportive, trust deepened, and misunderstandings became opportunities to grow closer. The key lesson: strong relationships are built intentionally, not accidentally. Practical steps to build strong relationships. 1. Prioritize listening over talking. Most people listen to respond, not to understand. Practice listening fully, without interrupting, judging, or planning your reply. Reflect back what you heard to show understanding. 2. Express appreciation regularly. Small gestures of gratitude and acknowledgement go a long way. A simple "I appreciate you" or "Thank you for being here" strengthens bonds and reinforces positive feelings. 3. Be authentic. People sense inauthenticity. Share your feelings, thoughts, and vulnerabilities appropriately. Authenticity builds trust and connection. 4. Set healthy boundaries. Strong relationships don't mean sacrificing yourself. Communicate your needs clearly and respectfully. Boundaries prevent resentment and protect the relationship. 5. Practice conflict resolution. Every relationship encounters friction. Use the skills from the previous chapter. Pause, empathize, communicate clearly, and focus on solutions. Conflicts handled with EQ strengthen rather than weaken bonds. 6. Offer support. Being there for someone in their moments of need, without judgment, deepens emotional connection. Support can be listening, advising, or simply offering presence. 7. Nurture emotional intimacy. Share your inner world gradually, encourage others to share theirs, and respond with empathy and curiosity. Emotional intimacy builds closeness beyond superficial interactions. The power of empathy in relationships. Empathy is the cornerstone of connection. When someone feels truly understood, they relax, open up, and respond positively. In friendships, empathy allows you to celebrate joys and support through challenges. In romantic relationships, empathy strengthens emotional intimacy and reduces misunderstandings. In professional settings, empathy fosters collaboration, trust, and loyalty. Even a simple gesture like acknowledging a colleague's stress or validating a friend's feelings can dramatically enhance connection. Daily habits to strengthen relationships. Check-in rituals. Send a quick message or call to ask how someone is doing. Small, consistent touches matter. Shared experiences. Spend time doing meaningful activities together. Walks, meals, or hobbies. Shared moments deepen bonds. Reflect and adjust. After interactions, consider what went well and what could be improved. Emotional awareness allows you to grow alongside your relationships. Celebrate successes. Share in the victories of others, no matter how small. Joy shared multiplies connection. Apologize and forgive. Mistakes happen. Taking responsibility and forgiving mistakes prevents resentment and strengthens trust. The role of emotional regulation in relationships. Uncontrolled emotions can harm relationships more than anything else. A snap of anger, a harsh word, or passive-aggressive behavior creates distance. By practicing self-regulation, you respond rather than react. You de-escalate tension instead of fueling it. You model emotional maturity, which encourages the same in others. This creates a safe environment where open, honest communication thrives. Building trust through consistency. Trust is the foundation of all lasting relationships. And trust isn't built in a single gesture, it's built consistently over time. Keep promises, even small ones. Communicate openly and honestly. Show up emotionally and physically when it matters. Respect boundaries and needs consistently. Over time, these small, consistent actions create a deep sense of reliability and safety. A story of trust and loyalty. David and Lena were business partners. Early in their venture, challenges tested their trust. David made a mistake that could have cost the company. Lena's response? She calmly discussed the issue, explored solutions, and helped him correct it rather than blaming or criticizing. This approach strengthened their trust. Their partnership thrived because they had a foundation of consistent emotional intelligence, empathy, self-regulation, and support. Closing thoughts. Strong relationships aren't just about chemistry or luck, they're built through emotional intelligence. Awareness of your own emotions, empathy for others, effective communication, conflict resolution, and consistent support all weave together to create lasting bonds. Remember, relationships reflect your emotional intelligence. The more intentional you are in connecting, understanding, and supporting others, the stronger your bonds will be. In the next chapter, we'll explore influence and persuasion with emotional intelligence. How to inspire, guide, and positively impact others while staying authentic and empathetic. Because relationships give you connection. Influence allows you to expand your impact while honoring those connections. Chapter 12. Influence and persuasion with emotional intelligence. Influence and persuasion often get a bad rap. Many people think it's about manipulation, pressure, or trickery. But true influence, when guided by emotional intelligence, is something entirely different. It's the ability to inspire, guide, and motivate others in ways that are authentic, respectful, and mutually beneficial. When your words, actions, and intentions are aligned with emotional intelligence, your influence grows naturally, without force, coercion, or superficial charm. The emotional intelligence behind influence. To influence effectively, emotional intelligence is essential. Consider these key components. Self-awareness. Understand your own values, motives, and emotions. Influence works best when it stems from authenticity. Empathy. Understand the emotions, needs, and perspectives of others. People are persuaded when they feel seen and understood. Social skill. The ability to communicate clearly, build rapport, and adapt your approach to different personalities. Self-regulation. Maintain composure, even when faced with resistance or disagreement. Without these elements, influence can feel forced, hollow, or even manipulative. With them, it becomes effortless and lasting. The difference between influence and manipulation. Manipulation is about control, getting someone to do what you want, regardless of their well-being. Influence, on the other hand, is collaborative. It's about guiding others toward a decision that aligns with both their interests and yours. Think of it like this: manipulation bends, influence inspires. Influence earns trust, manipulation erodes it. Emotional intelligence is the compass that ensures your influence stays ethical and genuine. A story of authentic influence. Consider the story of Aaron, a team leader in a corporate setting. He needed his team to adopt a new workflow, but resistance was high. Instead of demanding compliance, he took an emotionally intelligent approach. He listened to concerns without judgment. He acknowledged the challenges they faced. He shared the reasoning behind the change clearly and transparently. He invited input, making team members feel valued in the process. The result? Not only did the team adopt the new workflow, but they did so willingly, and with enthusiasm. Aaron's influence came from respect, empathy, and clarity, not authority. Practical techniques for persuasion with emotional intelligence. 1. Build trust first. People are persuaded by those they trust. Be reliable, consistent, and authentic. Follow through on promises, admit mistakes, and show genuine care for others' interests. 2. Understand their perspective. Before attempting to persuade, ask, what motivates this person? What are their fears, values, or goals? Tailoring your approach to their perspective makes your message resonate. 3. Lead with empathy. Show that you understand their emotions. Example, I know this change might feel overwhelming, and it's understandable. Here's how it can actually make things easier. 4. Appeal to shared values. People respond strongly to alignment with their principles. Highlight common ground, shared goals, or mutual benefits. 5. Use storytelling. Facts are persuasive, but stories connect emotionally. Share examples, experiences, or narratives that illustrate your point. Stories engage the heart, not just the mind. 6. Ask, don't demand. Framing suggestions as invitations rather than orders encourages ownership. Example, would you consider trying this approach? Rather than, do it this way. 7. Adapt communication style. Different people respond to different styles. Some prefer direct logic, others need reassurance or emotional connection. Emotional intelligence allows you to read the room and adapt effectively. Influence in everyday life. Influence isn't just for leaders or managers. It's part of daily life. At home, encouraging family members to adopt healthier habits. With friends, inspiring someone to pursue their goals. At work, motivating colleagues to embrace a new idea or project. In all cases, emotionally intelligent influence strengthens relationships rather than weakening them. The psychology behind persuasion. Psychologists highlight 3 key drivers of influence. Reciprocity. People respond positively when they feel supported or helped. Small gestures build goodwill. Consistency. When someone aligns with your ideas once, they're more likely to continue agreeing if the approach feels authentic. Social proof. People are influenced by examples or norms within their community. Highlighting positive outcomes others have experienced reinforces your message. Emotional intelligence enhances these principles because you can apply them with empathy and integrity rather than manipulation. Overcoming resistance. Even with empathy and clarity, resistance will arise. Here's how EQ helps. Pause and reflect. Avoid reacting defensively. Ask open-ended questions. What concerns do you have about this approach? Validate feelings. Show understanding of their hesitation. Present options. Offer choices instead of ultimatums. This approach transforms resistance into dialogue rather than conflict. Daily practices to strengthen influence. Observe and reflect. Notice how people respond to your words and tone. Adjust where necessary. Practice active listening. Influence begins with understanding, not speaking. Develop empathy. Regularly practice perspective-taking in conversations. Led by example. Demonstrate the behaviors or attitudes you wish to inspire. Communicate clearly. Avoid ambiguity or mixed messages. Consistency in these habits gradually builds a reputation of influence rooted in integrity and emotional intelligence. A story of long-term influence. Consider Maya, a mentor in a community program. Rather than pushing her mentees to follow her path, she listened deeply, shared her experiences, and encouraged them to find their own solutions. Over time, her guidance shaped their decisions, not because of authority, but because of trust, empathy, and inspiration. This is the hallmark of emotional intelligence in action. Influencing without coercion, persuading without pressure, and guiding without manipulation. Closing thoughts. Influence and persuasion are not about control. They're about connection. When guided by emotional intelligence, influence becomes a tool for collaboration, understanding, and positive impact. Remember, people are persuaded by those they trust, understand, and feel connected to. By combining self-awareness, empathy, communication skills, and integrity, you can inspire action without compromising authenticity. Influence is a responsibility, not a weapon. Use it wisely, and your impact will ripple far beyond your immediate circle. In the next chapter, we'll explore the art of emotional resilience, how to maintain strength, balance, and stability in the face of life's challenges, ensuring your emotional intelligence continues to grow and sustain you. Because influence guides others, resilience sustains you. Chapter 13. Emotional Resilience in Daily Life. Life has a way of testing us. Unexpected challenges, setbacks, and stressors are inevitable. Some people seem to weather storms effortlessly, bouncing back stronger each time. Others crumble, letting obstacles define them. The difference. Emotional resilience, the ability to adapt, recover, and grow through challenges. Emotional resilience isn't a fixed trait. It's a skill cultivated through awareness, mindset, and emotional intelligence. By strengthening resilience, you protect your mental health, maintain clarity in tough times, and respond instead of react. What emotional resilience really is. Resilience is not about avoiding stress or never feeling upset. It's about acknowledging your emotions without being overwhelmed by them, maintaining perspective when life feels chaotic, recovering quickly from setbacks, continuing forward with purpose and clarity. In essence, emotional resilience is the ability to bend without breaking. The role of emotional intelligence in resilience. Emotional intelligence provides the tools for resilience. Self-awareness. Recognize your emotions and their triggers. Knowing what stresses or overwhelms you allows for proactive management. Self-regulation. Stay calm, composed, and intentional in your reactions. Avoid impulsive decisions during high stress. Motivation. A strong sense of purpose and inner drive fuels perseverance when external circumstances are tough. Empathy. Understanding others' perspectives reduces conflict and strengthens support networks. Social skills. Building supportive relationships helps you navigate challenges collaboratively. Resilience isn't just personal, it's relational. Emotional intelligence strengthens both dimensions. A story. Resilience in action. Consider the story of Anika, a young entrepreneur. She had invested everything into launching a business, only to face multiple rejections and failures. Many would have given up. But Anika paused, reflected on what went wrong, and adjusted her strategy. She reached out to mentors, learned from feedback, and stayed focused on her long-term vision. Months later, her venture gained traction and eventually thrived. Anika's emotional resilience allowed her to transform setbacks into lessons and keep moving forward with confidence. Key components of emotional resilience. Adaptability. Life rarely goes according to plan. Resilient people adjust strategies without losing sight of their goals. Flexibility allows you to respond effectively to change instead of resisting it. Optimism. Resilient individuals maintain a positive outlook. They see challenges as opportunities to grow rather than insurmountable barriers. Optimism doesn't ignore reality. It frames it constructively. Emotional regulation. High stress or negative emotions are inevitable. Resilience comes from managing these emotions rather than letting them dictate behavior. Self-efficacy. Belief in your ability to handle challenges fuels persistence. Resilient people approach difficulties with confidence. I can navigate this. Support networks. Strong relationships provide emotional support, perspective, and guidance. Resilience isn't built in isolation. It's strengthened through connection. Practical strategies to build emotional resilience. 1. Mindfulness and self-reflection. Take time each day to observe your emotions without judgment. Ask, why am I feeling this? What can I control here? Awareness creates space for thoughtful responses. 2. Reframe challenges. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Reframe with, what can I learn from this? Shifting perspective reduces stress and uncovers growth opportunities. 3. Develop coping skills. Identify strategies that help you stay calm. Deep breathing, exercise, journaling, or talking to a trusted friend. Build a toolkit to manage stress proactively. 4. Strengthen support systems. Cultivate relationships with people who uplift, challenge, and support you. Having trusted allies makes difficult situations more manageable. 5. Maintain purpose and motivation. A clear sense of purpose fuels perseverance. When challenges arise, Remind yourself why your goals matter and how overcoming obstacles aligns with your values. 6. Practice gratitude. Regularly acknowledging what's going well, even amid difficulty, strengthens resilience. Gratitude shifts focus from problems to possibilities. Handling setbacks effectively. Setbacks are inevitable, but resilience determines how they impact you. Pause and breathe. Reacting impulsively often worsens problems. A calm pause allows reflection. Assess objectively. Identify what you can control and what you cannot. Focus energy on actionable areas. Learn the lesson. Ask, what can this teach me? Resilient people turn mistakes into growth opportunities. Recommit to action. Adjust your approach and continue moving forward. Persistence separates success from stagnation. Daily habits to strengthen resilience. Morning mindset ritual. Start each day visualizing challenges as manageable and opportunities for growth. Evening reflection. Journal about emotional highs and lows, and identify lessons learned. Physical wellness. Sleep, exercise, and nutrition impact emotional stamina. Treat your body as an ally. Positive connections. Engage with supportive people daily, even briefly. Social interaction buffers stress. Continuous learning. View challenges as opportunities to develop skills, knowledge, and wisdom. A story of resilient leadership. David, a CEO, faced a major setback when a key project failed. Instead of blaming his team or panicking, he modeled emotional resilience. He acknowledged the disappointment openly. He gathered feedback to understand what went wrong. He motivated the team to focus on solutions and next steps. His composure, optimism, and guidance kept the team united and focused. Months later, they launched a successful new project. Resilience wasn't just personal. It inspired and stabilized those around him. Closing thoughts. Emotional resilience is the backbone of emotional intelligence. It allows you to maintain clarity, composure, and purpose in the face of life's inevitable challenges. It transforms obstacles into lessons and stress into growth. Remember, resilience doesn't eliminate difficulties, but it equips you to face them with strength, flexibility, and wisdom. Through awareness, self-regulation, empathy, and purposeful action, you become not just a survivor, but someone who thrives regardless of circumstances. In the next chapter, we'll explore sustaining emotional intelligence for a lifetime. How to integrate all these skills into your daily life so that self-awareness, empathy, resilience, and influence become second nature. Because resilience strengthens you, integration ensures lasting impact. Chapter 14. Sustaining emotional intelligence for a lifetime. We've explored the pillars of emotional intelligence: self-awareness, self-regulation, empathy, motivation, resilience, communication, influence, and relationship building. By now, you understand that emotional intelligence isn't a single skill. It's a lifestyle, a way of living that influences every decision, interaction, and outcome in your life. But here's the question: how do you sustain emotional intelligence over a lifetime? How do you ensure these skills don't fade when life gets busy, stressful, or challenging? That's exactly what we'll explore in this chapter. The lifelong journey of emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence isn't a one-time achievement. It's a practice that evolves with experience. Think of it like a garden. You plant seeds of awareness and empathy. You water them with reflection and practice. You remove weeds of negativity, judgment, or bad habits. Over time, a thriving garden of emotional intelligence blossoms. Consistency, reflection, and intentionality are the keys to making it last. The core principles of sustained emotional intelligence. 1. Continuous self-awareness. Self-awareness is the foundation. Regularly checking in with your emotions, thoughts, and behaviors ensures you stay aligned with your values and goals. Ask yourself daily, how am I feeling? Why am I feeling this? How is this affecting my actions? Use journaling or reflection to track patterns over time. Self-awareness keeps you grounded, even when life throws curveballs. 2. Regular self-reflection. Set aside time for honest reflection. Review interactions, conflicts, successes, and failures. What went well? Where could I improve? How did my emotions influence my behavior? How can I act more intentionally next time? Reflection transforms experience into wisdom. 3. Practicing empathy daily. Empathy isn't occasional, it's habitual. Every conversation is an opportunity to practice understanding others. Listen fully without interrupting. Validate emotions even if you disagree. Offer support when needed. Sustained empathy strengthens relationships and emotional intelligence over time. 4. Emotional regulation as a habit. Stress, frustration, and setbacks are inevitable. Emotional regulation becomes second nature when practiced daily. Pause before reacting. Use breathing exercises or mindfulness to regain calm. Respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. Over time, emotional control becomes automatic, not forced. 5. Growth mindset and motivation. Sustaining emotional intelligence requires continuous growth. A growth mindset keeps you curious, adaptable, and resilient. See challenges as learning opportunities. Celebrate progress rather than perfection. Remind yourself of your purpose regularly. Motivation and purpose fuel long-term emotional intelligence. A story. Lifetime practice in action. Consider Mira, a teacher who dedicated her career to mentoring students. Over decades, she faced countless challenges: difficult students, administrative pressures, personal setbacks, and societal changes. Her secret wasn't innate talent. It was consistent practice of emotional intelligence. Self-awareness allowed her to recognize when stress affected her teaching. Empathy helped her connect deeply with students from diverse backgrounds. Self-regulation ensured she responded calmly to conflicts rather than reacting harshly. Reflection guided continuous improvement. Her sustained emotional intelligence didn't just impact her, it transformed the lives of thousands of students over a lifetime. Daily practices to maintain emotional intelligence. 1. Mindful mornings. Start each day with 5 to 10 minutes of mindfulness, reflection, or intention setting. Ask, what emotions might I face today, and how will I respond? 2. Active listening in conversations. Treat every interaction as a chance to practice empathy and understanding. Listen more than you speak, and validate others' emotions. 3. Journaling and reflection. End each day by reviewing key interactions. Ask yourself, what emotions influenced my behavior? How did I impact others? What lessons can I carry forward? 4. Seek feedback. Regularly ask trusted friends, colleagues, or mentors for feedback on your emotional responses and communication. Outside perspectives reveal blind spots. 5. Continuous learning. Read books, attend workshops, or engage in discussions about emotional intelligence, psychology, and personal growth. Lifelong learning sustains emotional intelligence. 6. Self-care and stress management. Physical health and emotional intelligence are deeply linked. Exercise, sleep, nutrition, and downtime all support emotional regulation and resilience. Integrating emotional intelligence into your life. Emotional intelligence isn't just a skill you switch on at work or in relationships, it's a lifestyle. At home, use empathy and active listening with family. At work, practice emotional regulation and constructive communication. In public, show kindness, patience, and awareness of others' emotions. Within yourself, stay aware, reflect, and grow continually. Integration ensures emotional intelligence becomes second nature, influencing every thought, word, and action effortlessly. A story. Sustained EI in leadership. Rajiv, a CEO, navigated decades of industry changes, economic crises, and team challenges. His secret? Emotional intelligence practiced daily. Morning reflection set his intentions. Empathetic listening strengthened employee trust. Calm regulation during crises inspired confidence. Continuous learning kept him adaptable and innovative. By sustaining emotional intelligence, Rajiv didn't just survive decades of challenges. He thrived, creating a company culture rooted in trust, growth, and collaboration. Closing thoughts. Sustaining emotional intelligence for a lifetime is about practice, reflection, and intentionality. It's a commitment to yourself and your relationships. Be aware of your emotions. Reflect and grow continuously. Practice empathy and understanding. Regulate your responses. Maintain purpose, optimism, and motivation. Emotional intelligence is not a destination. It's a journey. The more consistently you nurture it, the richer your life becomes. Every interaction, challenge, and experience is an opportunity to strengthen it further. In the next chapter, we'll explore the calm life, integrating emotional intelligence into everyday peace and fulfillment, how to live naturally balanced, unbothered, and emotionally intelligent in every aspect of life. Because sustaining emotional intelligence isn't just about skills, it's about a way of living. Chapter 15. The Calm Life, Integrating Emotional Intelligence for Peace and Fulfillment. Imagine waking up each day feeling calm, centered, and in control. Challenges come, but instead of stress or frustration taking over, you respond thoughtfully. Relationships are smoother, communication is clear, and your inner life feels balanced. This is the calm life, a life where emotional intelligence is fully integrated into every thought, choice, and action. This final chapter is about bringing everything together. Self-awareness, self-regulation, empathy, resilience, communication, influence, and relationship building, all working in harmony to create a life of peace, fulfillment, and emotional mastery. The essence of the calm life. A calm life doesn't mean you avoid stress or difficulty. Life will always have challenges. The difference is in how you engage with them. You observe your emotions without letting them control you. You respond rather than react, even in high-pressure situations. You connect deeply with others without losing your own balance. You align your actions with your values consistently. In short, the calm life is emotional intelligence in action, effortless, natural, and powerful. Integrating emotional intelligence daily. 1. Morning intentions. Start the day by setting intentions. How do I want to show up emotionally today? What values will guide my actions? A 5-minute meditation or deep breathing can anchor you. Reflect on potential challenges and how you'll navigate them calmly. This sets a proactive tone rather than a reactive one. 2. Mindful awareness throughout the day. Check in with yourself regularly. How am I feeling right now? Are my emotions influencing my decisions? How can I act with empathy, clarity, and purpose? These short pauses keep you grounded and prevent small stressors from escalating. 3. Conscious communication. Speak with awareness and intention. Listen fully before responding. Validate emotions even when you disagree. Choose words that build connection rather than tension. Effective communication reduces friction, strengthens relationships, and fosters inner calm. 4. Reflective evenings. At the end of each day, review interactions, emotions, and decisions. What went well? Where could I have responded more wisely? What lessons can I carry forward? Reflection converts experience into growth and reinforces emotional mastery. The role of resilience in everyday peace. Life is unpredictable, and setbacks are inevitable. Emotional resilience allows you to remain calm even when external circumstances are challenging. Stressful emails, traffic, conflicts, or disappointments don't overwhelm you. You see problems as temporary and solvable, not as catastrophes. Your responses are deliberate, measured, and constructive. Resilience isn't about suppressing emotions. It's about managing them so they serve you rather than control you. Building fulfillment through relationships. The calm life is not solitary. Emotional intelligence enables fulfilling, lasting connections. You listen deeply, empathize, and validate others. Conflicts are handled gracefully, preventing resentment. Trust and intimacy flourish because your responses are consistent and genuine. When relationships thrive, your life feels richer, lighter, and more connected. Influence without stress or manipulation. Influence in the calm life is natural, not forced. Your actions inspire others because they reflect authenticity and integrity. Persuasion comes from understanding and aligning with others' needs. People are drawn to your calm energy, not pressured by it. This is emotional intelligence at its highest form, impact without tension, guidance without control. Daily habits to sustain the calm life. Mindful breathing. A few deep breaths during stressful moments restore clarity. Gratitude practice. Regularly acknowledge what's positive in life. It shifts focus from stress to abundance. Journaling. Capture insights, track emotional patterns, and reinforce self-awareness. Physical wellness. Exercise, sleep, and nutrition maintain energy and emotional stability. Acts of kindness. Supporting others reinforces empathy, connection, and inner peace. Consistency turns these habits into a lifestyle, not just occasional efforts. A story of integration. Meet Rohan, a manager in a bustling company. Earlier in his career, stress, conflicts, and setbacks drained him. But over time, he practiced emotional intelligence consistently. Self-awareness helped him notice when stress was building. Self-regulation allowed him to respond calmly rather than lash out. Empathy transformed workplace relationships. Reflection and mindfulness strengthened resilience. Rohan now leads with confidence, balances work and personal life, and enjoys deeper relationships. Emotional intelligence didn't just change how he handled challenges, it changed the quality of his life. The ripple effect of a calm life. When you integrate emotional intelligence fully, you inspire calm and emotional intelligence in others. Stress in your environment diminishes because your responses are steady. Relationships strengthen, and influence grows authentically. You feel more fulfilled, centered, and purpose-driven. In essence, a calm life doesn't just benefit you, it positively impacts everyone around you. Final thoughts. Emotional intelligence is more than a skill, it's a way of life. A calm life is the natural outcome of mastering your emotions, building strong relationships, resolving conflicts gracefully, influencing authentically, and remaining resilient through challenges. Remember, observe yourself without judgment. Respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. Build connections rooted in empathy and trust. Reflect and grow continuously. Align actions with your values and purpose. The calm life is available to anyone willing to commit to consistent practice. Every day is an opportunity to live emotionally intelligent, balanced, and fulfilling. A closing invitation. As you finish this journey through emotional intelligence, remember, this is not the end. Every interaction, decision, and moment is an opportunity to practice, grow, and embody emotional intelligence. Your calm, your clarity, your fulfillment, they are all within reach. With patience, practice, and awareness, the calm life isn't just a dream, it's your reality. Conclusion. Your journey toward emotional mastery. Congratulations! You've completed a journey through the landscape of emotional intelligence. From understanding your own emotions to connecting deeply with others, resolving conflicts, influencing authentically, and cultivating resilience. This is more than knowledge. It's a skill set, a mindset, and a lifestyle that can transform every aspect of your life. Emotional intelligence is not about perfection. It's about progress, awareness, and intentionality. It's about noticing your emotions, pausing before reacting, empathizing with others, and making choices aligned with your values. Every step you take toward emotional mastery strengthens your relationships, enhances your decision-making, and brings more peace and fulfillment into your life. Think of this book as a toolkit. You now have the ability to recognize and understand your emotions, techniques to regulate and channel your emotions productively, skills to empathize and connect deeply with others, strategies for handling conflict and difficult conversations gracefully, methods to influence and inspire authentically, habits to build resilience and sustain emotional intelligence for life, guidance to integrate all these skills into a calm, fulfilling, and balanced life. But knowledge alone is not enough. True transformation happens through practice. Every day presents opportunities to apply what you've learned. In conversations, in challenges, in moments of stress, and in decisions both big and small. Remember, emotional intelligence is a lifelong journey. You will continue to grow, adapt, and deepen your understanding of yourself and others. The more intentional you are in practicing these skills, the more naturally they will become part of who you are. Your life is your canvas, and emotional intelligence is the brush. With awareness, empathy, and intentional action, you can paint a life of stronger relationships, greater influence, lasting resilience, and inner calm. So go forward with confidence. Embrace your emotions. Connect deeply. Navigate challenges with clarity. And cultivate the calm, fulfilling, and emotionally intelligent life you deserve. Because when you master your emotions, you master your life.